Yeah. Do you know Gilbert, Jared? You guys tell Gilbert goodbye. Say goodbye, Gilbert.
Bye, Gilbert.
I don't know who Gilbert is and how he ended up in the advanced classes and we don't know him. I don't know.
I've seen a Gilbert before, I just don't know his last
You
name.
just don't know if he's a Zamora.
He seems like he's one of
He looked like a Zamora.
yeah. He talks Spanish and everything.
I want to learn Spanish.
Pretty fluent.
You are?
No, he was.
No, you can speak a little bit.
I can speak a
You
little
know
bit.
that.
I took Spanish classes about it.
No, I took 30 years of it.
I took 2.
I took 2 years and I spoke to an instructor in all of Russia.
Yeah, that's scary. A Russian that speaks Spanish.
Whoa.
Well, they put me in advanced.
All right, guys, get out a sheet of paper. Borrow sheets, son. Thank you.
Damn it. That was straight under my finger.
Nice.
Chris? No, Chris.
I'd say that chapter.
Number 1.
Wait, my pen's not ready.
All as I want is the answers, and if you don't give me the exact answer, we're gonna slash you.
Tires.
No. We'll let Nick get you a sheet of paper out, buddy.
Chris, you late? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been marking late.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know about long, but I did.
I didn't mark my new SpongeBob tardy britches over
I
here.
had a little road rage incident, that's all. Fucked something up just now. The fact it wouldn't pull over.
Do you see your hands? Those are no longer clubs. They are your money makers, son.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yeah, we're taking pictures.
I'm ready. I'm ready, come on.
I just feel like I let you know.
My bad, gee, I thought you was taking a roll.
No.
I'm ready.
Number 1, I want you guys to give me the 4 terms that can be used with the process you're learning right now. A couple of them are official terms, some of them are slang terms, depending on what generation you come from or a welder you talk to.
Can you repeat the question?
What are the 4 either official terms or slang terms are used in the process in this class that we're learning? What are they? You may hear a welder say they call it this, another welder calls it that, the book calls it this. There's 4 of them.
I can't get squirt gun out of my head.
I know, me too.
I can't get squirt gun out of my head. Can't think of anything else.
What's that?
I got 2.
I'll just do as many as you can.
I got 2 down.
Bless your heart.
Squirt gun.
Tube of toothpaste.
Yeah, that's just as good.
Okay, number 2. name the different transfer modes that you can turn these machines into.
Got it.
It's how you do the settings. We call them transfer modes. You've read about it, but there's one of them you've never used before. Well, probably a couple of them actually. Name the transfer modes, you guys. We said, I'll give you a hint.
No, we don't need
Okay,
no
no
No,
hint.
yeah, we do.
No, no hint. Well, you guys shouldn't need it because we've said it like 5 times. Come on.
I got 2.
I got 3. I got the one we never did and won't do. Oh, I got it. I got all 4.
Really, you're smarter than you think.
All 4 of them? Or
I got
just
all
those that
4
control
of
machines?
these 2. I got all 4.
You guys ready?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay, what is the allowable or acceptable range
Got it.
of your stick out
Got it.
in GMA?
I got it.
What?
Come on. What is the allowed range of stick out of wire when you use GMA?
I know you're
Come on.
I know you were trying to help us with number 1, 2, but we already got that.
We'll see. Work your legs. Testosterone.
Huh.
All right.
I don't know what that means.
He knows.
Oh.
You wouldn't understand.
I never work my legs. The only work my legs do is walking around. That's enough work for him.
I got it.
He's got it.
Tell me when you guys are ready.
We're ready.
Are you guys ready? Okay. What is the term of the part on your welder that can either loosen
Got it.
or slow down the actual spool of wire?
Got it.
And I told you it was on the arbor.
Got it.
God, I can't think of anything but got it.
My bad.
Shut up.
I misspelled it, but I got it.
Yeah, me too.
You guys ready? Number 5, name the different types of a drive roll system.
Different types or?
There's different types of a drive roll system. What are they?
processes or for? just-
No, there's two types of a dry roll system.
Okay, gotcha.
They are blank and blank. One is probably better than the other. You guys ready? Do a cricket sound, because that's what I'm hearing.
Ready?
I can't do it.
Number 5.
6.
6.
7.
Number 6, we are going to ask, what are the different spool sizes that you can get wire in? And then be slick and say, what are the two most common?
So all the spool sizes?
List every spool size you know.
Is the biggest one is the most common in the industry?
Not the very biggest, no, they were a freak. I even said that you would look at them like they're a 55-gallon drum. Only one shop in town runs them. It's what I bench press.
Oh, yes.
Gee, what? You guys like, heck, you're an idiot. But we're gonna make you people smarter.
Is that 110 pounds?
Yeah, it's 110 pounds full. Probably more like 90. And you're right there with me.
No, you're joking. That's-
Yeah, I know, I almost
Oh,
wrote
I
it.
could read.
I almost wrote it.
That's the size of my head. 110 pounds.
Dang.
All brain. Okay, you guys ready? Are we still writing here? You guys need a
Still
little bit
writing.
more time? List all the spool sizes that you could go to the tool room and ask for.
We didn't study this.
He told me.
But say it again, how to ask for it?
No.
So that you can ask for.
List them all and then circle the two most.
The two
common.
most common ones.
Oh, it's on your question? No.
No, it's all in one. Easy there, Chris.
It's a two
I'm
part.
about to give everyone.
Okay, you guys ready? What are the recommended fit-ups if you were doing code welding using MIG?
Can you repeat that?
What are the recommended fit-ups when you're doing code welding, meaning grooves, using the SMAW process?
You want the minimum and the max?
I just want, when we're doing fab welding versus code welding in MIG. So
What we've been doing.
I'm a fab MIG welder, I'm a fab MIG welder doing a groove weld. What fit up would you run? And then you're a code welder doing MIG in a code shop. What fit up would you run there? Because they were different ones. I told you one was so hot it would blow a hole through the first fit up if you tried it. And you'd get red. when you guys are ready. Are you ready?
Mhm.
Okay. List the 5 most common sizes of wire that you could get from the tool room. What are the different sizes of wire? You would go to the tool room boy and you would say, I need a blank pound of blank size muy pronto. What are the common diameters of wire? And if you want to show off, circle the one that we use here. And if you don't know that after 2 years, that's pretty what? It has said, it's sad.
Let me see this.
It's a horse. It was a race horse.
It's not wrong.
That means I'm right. I'm spurring you out.
You like horses? You like horses?
I train horses.
I've never been on a horse.
Teacher's been on TV for team roping.
You
Yeah,
don't see no
horses
horses?
and projects.
I'm a hitter.
I started team roping.
We don't have horses in projects.
Your horses, you have an iron horse, your car. If he wanted to see a horse, he had to go to the zoo. Yeah, in the city.
Horses at the zoo.
You guys see?
Yeah, close enough.
Okay, you guys ready? Next one. Give me the characteristics of a push technique in MIG. What will it do? It's got pros and cons. So what will a push technique do? You guys ready? Okay, give me the characteristics of a pull technique. It's got one good thing about it, but then it's got one bad thing.
Number 9 is both.
Huh?
Number 9, you want the characteristics.
Of a push technique.
Just push?
Just push them on. So you may have answered both.
I agree.
And one, that's okay, just leave it then. Not here to slam you guys. I'm here to wake you up a little bit. Okay, next one. What gas should be used
Got it.
with spray transfer?
You want the detail or the easy answer?
I put both.
Yeah, you can do both. If you're showing off. Woody's dancing, so you must know that one.
Got one. Excuse my language when I walked in.
You were salty.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You guys ready? All right, next one. What gases can be used when you run short circuit? Are recommended, I should say. What gases are recommended when you use short circuit welding?
Just treat.
Maybe more than one. You guys ready? All right, next one, you guys. What is your shielding gas measured in? What is your shielding gas measured in? So another welder will walk by and say, did you check your blank,
Got it.
blank, blank?
One just, short,
What's your shielding gas measured in? Don't say it though.
do you want
write it
like
in,
tell me.
a short of it, or do you want us to write it out?
You can write, it's got an abbreviation, doesn't it? You
Yeah,
can
that's
write
what I
that.
meant, the abbreviation.
Don't overthink it, little Latin. They may do that in Russian, we keep it simple, don't we? Okay, next one. If I told Burrell, I want you to weld that part, but whatever you do, do not warp it out. That must mean the metal is really, really, what position would a welder put a part in to prevent warpage? You as a welder have that option. Do you put it in flat, overhead, welding?
This is 14, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Certain positions would actually give you more warpage than other positions. I recommended that if you guys are gonna weld sheet metal, you better always do blank.
Yep.
And I think it was on your toolbox.
I wrote it down for you.
All right. Next one, you guys. What are two positions in welding? Doesn't matter if it's fillet welds, butt T-corner edge joints, or groove welds. What are the two neutral positions?
Got it.
That's what I'm gonna break you on.
Can you repeat that last one?
What two neutral positions are there?
Okay, you guys ready? Next one. You guys are MIG welders, yeah? So if a book would say, what is your amperage? What is your amperage? You set it every day, but it's under a different word. So you may learn something here.
Repeat that one more time.
Okay, in stick welding, I would say, Jonah, run 80 amps, turn it up to 5 amps. We always reference amps. But in MIG welding, we know you don't reference amps. You guys have never even heard amps in MIG welding. But I would say it a different way. There's something you're setting on that MIG machine that is your amperage, and you don't even know it. It's something you're gonna learn. You guys ready? Okay, what's your wire feed speed measured in?
Cheating, Ivan.
Hmm?
Cheating.
Yeah, wandering eyes.
Yeah, buddy.
He's not. You may not want to cheat on cruise. You're gonna cheat sitting next to the smartest guy in the class.
I don't go that way.
Okay, you guys ready? Here's a good one. List the different types of gases that can be used for each transfer mode. What are the different types of MIG gases that are used out there? And give me the transfer mode it can be used.
Come on, you go through.
Bam!
Ooh.
I don't like that one.
That just happened. List the different types of gases and then put a dash. What transfer mode would you use with that gas? That's actually a pretty easy one. I bet Jared gets 100. I'll put money on it. Yeah, I bet he does. That little Sonic man pays attention.
What's the question again?
Oh.
What are the different gases, CNM, that can be used in MIG? And with each gas, what transfer mode would you use for that gas?
Wait, SCNM or in general?
Just in general.
That's Jared.
You're scaring me. That's Jared. He'll build your bridge and then cook you a Sonic burger all at once. In other words, list every gas that you know is made, every one. Don't just think carbon too, you guys. There was one gas that was for stainless, if you remember.
looks like at least.
Tell me when you guys are ready. You ready? Easy enough. Why, when we're welding roots on grooves, do we always recommend that you do a what technique?
Why?
I'll even give you the answer. It's a pull technique. But why do we do a pull technique on root passes?
I already wrote that. You will give me the one that I got. The one.
That means you got it right, did you? Bless you.
Bless you. Was a heavy ass sneeze.
Big boy sneeze.
Right, like,
Pull over. I'll deal with you later.
right now. And I followed that thing.
You gotta be careful.
I want to dance.
Some people don't dance.
You don't have to.
Let's not do that. Let's live a long, healthy life.
I'm trying.
Too many psychos out there.
You see that bad?
Yeah, and he cut me off, and I cut him off, he cut me off. Man, I ain't gonna pull over. I ain't gonna do this all day.
I had to look over those
I've been hit his car.
cyclists.
So you need diesel.
No, that's when you pull over and then Chris is laying on the sidewalk and the guy drives away with his Cadillac. He just got robbed. Umbrella.
That's what Burrell carries.
I just smoke about that.
Yeah, I ain't even saying nothing, I just like, right.
These are his story.
Got 2 guns right here.
Okay, you guys ready? Okay, hopefully I don't stump you on this one, because you probably should be pretty embarrassed if you don't get it. When you're ordering wire, you need to ask for what? I'm at the tool room. There is a wire ID numbering system. What would you ask for? Remember, in welding, consumables are always given an ID number. So you would reference that to the tool room boy.
Hey, look, you gotta see right here, I'm going in my cruise.
Yeah, do the same, bro.
You see it?
There's one.
Yeah, dog, it's right here.
That means you're bored.
I'm trying to fill it in.
So you can look like a mountain man like you.
Yeah, like this one, you can't see, you gotta get really, really close.
That's like an 80-year-old's face.
Cruise, you saw it.
You saw it.
You saw it.
Back me up, Cruz.
As soft as a peach. All right, you guys get her done? Okay, now. It doesn't matter if you're welding a butt joint or a qualls plate. If 2 pieces don't line up, what is that called? And is it a defect or a discontinuity? When 2 pieces do not align. So Ryan is fitting a bridge, he's got 2 I-beams, he fits them together. One of the I-beams is slightly higher than the other one. What is that known as? And is it acceptable or is it a defect? What do they call that? I told you, whatever you do, don't get that on your qualls plate, because that means you're just being a little sloppy, right? We will continue to do these every day until you guys memorize this.
You got it?
I told Trent, I don't know what to do with him. I said, beat him down.
Trump was in my booth 3 hours last night.
So I get you caught up.
Yeah, but he wants me to cheat.
Yeah, you just butt slap them together as well.
I don't wanna do that.
It's an easy way to get the.
Yeah, I get it, but I wanna learn it. You know what I mean? So I got an advantage when I get
this one's probably the hardest one. So Greg's been welding for 15 weeks in MIG, yeah?
Yeah.
All you guys have. Okay. List all the different types of porosity. They tell a story, and that's gonna be your new lesson today. Cause I know you won't answer them right. I set you up. List all the different types of porosity, Greg, that Anita or whoever you had for MIG taught you.
I'm done.
I got you.
I'm done now.
Oh, there's 4, just so you guys know.
Oh my God.
But if you only know 1 or 2, then at least put 1 or 2, at least something.
I know porosity. Shit.
Found your weakness, didn't it?
Yeah.
You're gonna learn today. And if you don't, we'll get Mr. Chavez and Mrs. Chavez in here, and we'll have a little conference with Cruz's parents.
You didn't have to, you ain't have to do this like that, man. What will cause porosity or?
No, you guys probably never even heard of this, have you?
Oh.
There are 4 different types of porosity. And if you were my students in intro, you'd know them all because they all tell a story about welding. So just cause like, that'd be like, Greg, you guys, let me give you an example. Greg gets porosity. Teacher, why did I get porosity? Why am I getting all these pinholes in there? There are different types of porosity, and there's actually different causes per type of porosity. Do you see the level I'm trying to take you guys? It's at a whole level than what you've ever been trained at.
Why don't you get on our intro teachers instead of us? And our advanced.
Now listen
teachers.
to me.
And our advanced teachers.
Because you guys can do it. That means I probably have a little bit more faith in you guys than what?
And the teachers.
There you go. My students can take it. You're my guys now, and your future is my responsibility, and you will be great at what you do. And you will get a lot of money doing it. Oh, by the way, as you're writing these porosities down, is anybody interested in becoming a rig welder or a cross-country pipeliner?
Of course.
Okay, tomorrow, Lucas, Icon Lucas, you guys know he's welding down in Carlsbad. Lucas left us in December, right? He was a helper since December, you guys, and now he broke out and he's pipe welding. And he was wanting you guys, if you're interested in learning about pipe welding, he was gonna bring his truck in the back. I conned him into coming to town this week. And he was gonna do some pipe welding on that green pipe, show you how they actually do it out in the real world, on the big stuff. He's gonna bring some 12-inch tomorrow.
When? Tomorrow?
He'll be here tomorrow at about 8:30 in the TC lab.
8:30.
He said he'd answer all your questions for you, that way any questions you have, does that make sense?
AM?
8:30 a.m., that's right, so you gotta roll out of bed. In other words, go to bed early. Don't be staying up till 2 watching Friday,
My bad.
Ice Cube. He's more like Chris Tucker. You're more like Ice Cube. You know who I'd be, Debo. You hear my bicycle going down. Give me the bike, Craig.
Yeah, that's the first movie you said I done saw.
I love Friday night. Chris Tucker was hilarious. Debo was hilarious. I like the last guy in the end. He's like, I steal, I don't kill. Okay, guys, everybody get her done. Okay, now,
Friday?
Greg, why did I do this? Was it to be a jerk?
To see how much we
Yeah.
memorize.
So you guys, I'm gonna tell you something, and I do this with all sincerity. I am slamming you guys with a ton of stuff, and I'm coming at you like a spider monkey. And I know a lot of you guys are like, what the heck, Hackney? Why are you slamming us so hard? A, we know that you should have learned a lot of this where, Nick?
Before?
In intro, right? No big deal. What I'm telling you guys is, you're seeing it's different with me and Trenton. You gotta know the what, why, when, where. When I know all the answers, I go into it more prepared, so I'm actually better in the industry, right? You don't have to be the guy that says, hey, what are we doing now? What's going on? What are we doing? How do I fix this? What is this? You'll already know how to do it. So you'll be a better problem solver, okay? All right. I want you to change papers with anybody in the class.
Here. Show me that one.
Okay. It doesn't matter who gets paper as long as you guys don't grade your own paper, right?
I'm cool with Great Mountain.
It'd be the one time you'd at least get a C.
Yeah, right.
Man, he write with his foot, man. I can't read this.
Good God.
It's my bad.
You know whoever, I like to read that. Hey, you know whoever guy, yeah.
I can't read cursive, I can probably read fast.
Hey, you know who's got the nicest work in the class?
Oh, no. What the?
Mr. Ryan CNN Whitman. If you guys ever watch Ryan's written words, that dude's dirty and right. You should be a great welder, Ryan. Okay, now, you guys ready for this?
No, you write with your foot, man. Wherever you are. You write with your
That's
foot.
Jared.
And you write with your foot, man.
You know what he should have done?
You want it back?
He should have taped one of those candies that you get from Sonic on that. What are those little peppermint? That's what you should have done to him, Jared. All right, guys, now, you guys know me. All I'm asking you to do, I'm like the guy that's the coach that's trying to get these players to step up to their full what? That's all I'm trying to do, guys, okay? And I'm gonna continue to be this guy, but it's like I told Chris a while back, I can't want it more than you. Remember how when we were in Blueprint, you guys, and Chris is like, hey, Hackney, we weren't taught at the level that you talk about, so it's like we're setting you up to what? But I know you guys can handle it. You just gotta step up and try a little bit more. When I walked in today, you know what I saw? I saw people studying. They had 5 or 10 minutes and they're actually opening it up. And it's sad to me when you gotta say, Chris, I'm gonna give you a 100-point written exam for that man to get motivated enough to study. Does that make sense? We should be this guy all the time. Problem is it takes discipline and time management, you know what I'm saying? So, anyways, guys, this is over a lot of the stuff we talked about, you guys. So this just goes to show who's paying attention and who needs to step up their what? Game, right? Okay, number 1. Chris, what do you got on that paper if you can read it? What were the different terminologies that you could hear? He's gonna battle with it.
His foot said wire split. SMAW.
Any more?
Big solid wire. It's
Okay.
not yours. It's not yours.
Okay, guys, so here it is. It could be in any order. If they get it wrong, you're gonna what? To the side of it. You write the right answer and they can use these as a study guide, right? So it can be known as GMA, Jonah, which stands for what?
Gas metal arc welding.
Gas metal arc welding. You'll hear everybody call it what? MIG, which stands for metal inert gas, right? You'll hear my generation call it wire feed. You'll hear another generation call it solid wire. And if there's an old timer at your shop at all, he's gonna be like, Greg, use the bare wire on it. That's another term. Bare wire is what the old timers call it. That's the generation, when they're calling it bare wire, and you're doing stitch welding, they're calling it skip. People that say bare wire, they'll call stitch welding skip. That's the same generation, okay? Okay, next. I asked you guys to identify the different transfer modes. Now listen to me, you guys. That's something that's gonna blow some of you guys away. When we're out there, Jonah's like, Ron, all we know is MIG. And I'll tell you guys, like I told you before, you should already be making your resumes right now. Every time you learn something new, you're supposed to put it on a what? There is nothing worse than when Greg goes at the last week of school, Ron, will you help me with a resume? What do you got, buddy? Do you have anything on it? No. Is he gonna forget some of the stuff he learned? So when you talk transfer modes, I'm gonna tell you how ignorant your teacher was. Did you know when I was going through school that I had bad teachers? I did not know that I could do spray transfer on a regular MIG machine. I thought it was something different. When they talked about short circuit, I was like, yeah, that's what we do here, right? When they talked globular or pulse spray, I thought it was a different machine. Turns out I was wrong. You can do all transfer modes on any what? On any machine. You just gotta change your gases and you gotta change your voltages and that, you guys. Does that make sense? So you gotta learn. It's like I told Burrell. He said, Ron, he's doing his resume now. He said, Anybody can MIG weld, and everybody always puts down on a resume, I'm competent at GMAW. And then you guys walk in a shop back east at a power plant, and they're like, says here, Cruz, you're good at GMAW. He's like, yeah, they're like, go ahead and set it up for spray transfer, and we'll come back to test you in about 5 minutes. What's the first thing you're gonna say to that foreman? How do you do that? Well, I've never ran spray transfer. I've heard about it. Well, you sat there and said you were good at GMAW, so you gotta be careful. Everybody always says, I always hear, but MIG is easy, MIG is easy. Yeah, you can run a little bit of short circuit, but as soon as I start talking these other transfer modes, they get wrecked, man. What does New Mexico mainly use? Short circuit. That's why we focus on you. But guess what, guys? New Mexico is all about light fabrication in our industry. I don't see any company around here that runs 3 shifts with 10,000 welders going 24/7 building product that wouldn't even fit in this building. Stuff where huge cranes and each piece is like 10 tons and there's 60 pieces that make it up. That's a lot of weight, that's a lot of size. We're not that kind of industry, right? Okay, so you have short circuit, you have pulsed, which or not pulsed, globular. Everybody hates globular. You've all ran globular and you didn't like it, I guarantee it. It's when Chris's wire feed was turned a little too low and the wire is actually dripping into the what? It forms a ball and then drips. Forms a ball and then drips. And it throws hard spatter everywhere, right? And me and Trenton walked by and we're like, David, you need to turn your wire feed speed up. We just took him out of globular and put him back in short circuit. See how the game's played. So you have short circuit, you have globular. If I'm a code welder, I'm doing spray transfer. And then if I weld for the government, you are doing pulse spray. Did you get them? Good for you. If they missed one, write it in. Okay, next. We said, I asked you guys, what is the stick out in MIG? And the first week, I got crazy answers out of you guys. I had one person yelling 1/2 inch, the other person yelling 1/8. What are you guys learning? It's always 1/4 up to 3/8, period. And if they don't have those exact numbers, mark them wrong and put it in right. It's 1/4 up to 3/8. So that means you can have 1/4, you can have 5/16, or you can have 3/8. There's only 3 stickouts you're supposed to be running in MIG. I never said Jared can't still get it to work and have the wrong stick out. You can, but it's gonna look what? Say it again, Greg? Yeah, there you go. And then you're like, teacher, what's wrong? Well, you had the wrong stick out, buddy. Okay. Next, I asked you guys what slows or speeds up your spool of wire.
Spool break.
It's called the spool break, and we even showed you guys how to adjust it. The spool break.
Check me out.
Is that you?
Know what I'm saying? Look at it.
Is that your paper
What I
though?
wrote. Yeah, that's me.
Well, then that means if he's not right, you did good. Okay, he's all excited. You're getting beat by Snoop Dogg. Come on now.
Snoop Dogg.
Number 5. I told you guys there are 2 types of drive roll systems. A 2-drive system and a 4-drive roll system.
Hey, this dude put the 2 drive is a pull and the 4 drive is a push. That's true?
That would be wrong. A 4-drive roll system is a push and a pull. A 2-drive roll system only does what? It's like a 2-wheel drive truck. It just pushes you through the mud and gets stuck easy. A 4-drive roll system is a push and a pull. And I told you a 4-drive roll system is better. Why, Jonah? You answered it last class.
Because it just eliminates any like discontinuities, kind of.
No, you're just throwing stuff out there, huh?
Well, you know what I mean.
He's nervous. Okay.
Doesn't let the wires go.
Yeah, so what he said is if you have a 4-drive roll system, meaning you have 4 wheels in your MIG welder, you will get a more consistent feed to your MIG gun. Why? Because when wire is made, it has flat spots in it that your eyes cannot see. And those flat spots are called what? Bursting. So when a bursting hits, a flat spot hits one drive roll system, the wheels are going to peel out like a truck in mud. But then if you put your truck in 4-wheel drive, it gets out of the mud easier. So then when one set pushes and slips, The other one pulls, and you get that consistent feed. You will never find a 4-drive roll system on a hobbyist machine. They don't make those until you go heavy industrial. Now, question for you, those Miller 252s in our shop, Jared, you well with them, yeah?
Yeah.
Do they have a 2-drive or a 4-drive? They have a 2-drive. So what does that tell you? Even as sweet as the 252s are, they're still not, they're not what we call industrial rated. They're mainly made for the home hobbyists. It's like high performance, okay? Okay, next. I asked you guys, what are the different spool sizes you could get? Spool sizes are measured in pounds. So we're gonna go through there. Can I get a 1?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you get a 2?
Yes.
Can you go to a 5?
Yes.
4?
No 4.
3.
Can I do 5?
Yes.
Yes, you can do 5. Then it goes from 5 and it jumps up to 10, 11, and 12. And then it goes to 33. And then it goes to 44. And then if you want to get crazy and weld for CEI here in town, which if I'm staying here in town, I probably want to go to CEI, guys. They're one of the better companies.
You say 33 and 44?
It goes 33, 44, and then it goes to 500, which is your 55-gallon drums. It takes an overhead crane to even put a spool of wire on your MIG welder. What do you got, Nick? Yeah, it's that big a jump. So it goes 10, 11, 12, and then it goes 33. There's nothing in between 12 and 33. So it's not like it comes in every size out there. Yeah?
Yeah.
What?
I got 33 and 44.
Yeah, the most popular used should be a 33 and a 44. Now, Conrad, I told you when they're gonna say 33 or 44, what determines which spool size you run? Conrad. He's like, I don't need you telling me, Ivan. You can phone an underclassman if you want the right answer, if you don't know.
Wait, is that again?
Yeah, he's stalling. Okay, we know 33-pound and 44-pound spools are the most common. But what would determine on a welder which one you run?
Internal and external.
There you go. An internal, meaning the spool of wire goes inside of it, are always gonna be what, Greg? In order to run a 44-pounder, like our XMPs, the 44-pound spool has to be on the outside of the machine. That is correct. Can you lift a 44-pound spool, son?
Barely.
Barely? Actually, I showed him how to do an oxy bottle he lifted that thing like nobody's business, huh?
It was empty.
Show me house.
It was empty.
Winner. Okay, now you guys, I asked you guys about what are the 2 fit-ups that are recommended when you do code welding or groove welding in the industry. So what I would have put, if I were you guys, I would have said, okay, Ron, if I'm running short circuit, I would have put that. I would have ran a 332 landing with an 1/8" opening. If I worked in a high-end code shop, I would do spray transfer, and then I would do what fit-up, Burrell?
8 and an
8 and an 8. Bam, that just happened. An 8 and an 8. You gotta know this, guys. Maybe he's putting a smiley face on it. Or maybe he's correcting a wrong answer. But you just answered it. What do you got, Ron? Huh?
That's correct.
They're both correct. You run, remember, when we run short circuit right now in our classes, right? I had Greg, I said, Greg, for a short circuit, you're gonna run a 332 landing with an 8 opening. Greg's like, fine, Ron. He's in Paul's class with me right now. Now, when I get Greg to pipe walls, now we're gonna start doing spray transfer, and we're moving away from short circuit. So then spray transfer is an 8 opening, 8 landing. So both of those fit-ups would be the 2 recommended for welding any groove. Depends on what transfer mode you're running. Does that make sense? Okay.
What was the second spray transfer?
Next, I asked you guys for what? The different sizes of wire. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. If you don't know a lot of this, it is sad. Okay, so if Jonah is gonna MIG weld in a sheet metal shop, Jonah, what is the smallest wire they make for sheet metal?
0.025.
Okay, I don't ever want to hear somebody in here, even though the books and diagrams and the videos say it, say point. Don't do that. You sound too much like a what?
Greenhorn.
A greenhorn, or I'd say you sound like a politician. Calm down. So I want Jonah to say, Ron, a sheet metal shop, or if I was doing a lot of automotive panels, I would run 023 is the smallest one.
Yeah, go 2-2.
There is no such thing as 022. You guys start making up your own terms.
Yeah.
So if I ask Chavez, hey man, what's the smallest wire made? And he's like, well, I'm at C&M, we run some 022. I'm be like, that program's garb. There's no such thing as 022. You ought to go get your what? Be an educated man. That's what I say. There's good welders, there's not so good welders, and then there's great welders. What separates the difference from all three? Knowledge. It's knowledge. It's knowing your theory and being great at what you do when we do a lab exercise. That's exactly what separates mediocre from great. Okay, so I'm going to give them to you in order, okay?
All right.
023, then it jumps up to 025, then it jumps up to 030, and then it jumps up to 035, and then it goes 045. Now, I even told you guys, and once again, this was a test. If it was me as a greenhorn, not only would I have put the wire, I would have said what industry uses what wire. So what would you put right next to 023?
Fab?
Sheet metal.
Oh, yeah.
Now, 025, sheet metal, Greg just yelled it out. 030 is what comes on a hobbyist machine. So they say that's a general size that'll kind of do a little bit of everything. So you'll never run 030 in the welding industry unless you bought a MIG welder that was small and you used it at your what? Your house. Do you guys understand that? Now, when I was in industry, if you would ask me, well, Ron, what's the most common MIG wire size? I would say everybody in the industry runs 035. 035 used to be the most common size, but now it's what, Jonah? 045. Why? Because companies are welding hotter, faster, so you guys can get those parts done what? Quicker. They went to 045 on you guys. So
Industry, we got sheet metal, hobbyist, then industry and industry.
And then I'd say industry and industry. That's right. So guys, to give you guys an idea, Jared's like, well, this doesn't make sense. Industry and industry. It does, Jared, when you get out there. So watch, guys. Jared goes to Trucks Unique. Okay? Trucks Unique builds a lot of custom automotive parts. Right? They're small parts though. You go to Trucks Unique, he goes to a trailer shop. They build all those trailers out of what, Conrad? Angle iron and channel iron, and it's small. They both run 035. Why? Because the weld joints are real small. Now I got David here that goes and leaves C&M. He goes and gets hired by Megacore. They don't do welds that are like 6 inches long or 3 inches long. Megacore does long welds. They build the big Caterpillar equipment and all the earth movers. So if you go in the fab industry that does big product with long welding, I guarantee you they're going to run 045. And the problem is, check this out. You know what sucks for you guys? Burrell, what's your favorite setting in MIG? Give me your favorite setting that just drops dimes.
175, 175.
That's his money setting, isn't it? Now, he goes to Megacore. Yeah, I know how to MIG weld short circuit. So the guy gives him the gun. Well, get busy, kid. Let's see what you can do on a T-joint. Then Burrell goes to set his favorite settings. Megacore runs what size wire? 045. Does Burrell's settings work? He just lays down the most god-awful, cold-looking weld there is. See what I'm saying? As these wire sizes change, your settings aren't any good anymore.
I gotta go up.
You got it run hotter because the wire is bigger. So now you're at like 19 or 20 volts. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So what does that tell you about 023, Nick? Do you run your favorite settings or do you actually run it lower? Okay, so I'll tell you guys something right now. Nick's right. So somebody came into me out of you guys the other day and they said, Ron, I'm blowing a hole on my root pass. And I was like, well, what is your setting? And somebody in here was down as low as 14 volts. Who is that? Who is at 14 volts? It was one of you guys. Okay, don't worry about it, Cruz. Cruz is like, Ron, I was at 14 volts to get that root pass put in. Is 14 volts too low for 035 wire?
Way too.
I said, boy, hold out your hand. And I swatted it. Guess what, guys? 023 would have ran sweet at 14 volts. Because it doesn't need a lot of heat because the wire is so thin, it's so small. Does that make sense? So he made it work, but just because he can do it doesn't mean he should be doing it. Because if they hit you with an x-ray, would you have felt? Trash lives in cold wells of trash.
Wait, 045, 19 volts, so what do we bump the wire feed to?
Then you gotta go appropriate. Think about it. You like set in the 17s on the volts, you like in the 170s on the wires.
So 190?
There you go. Now you're understanding. If he runs 20 volts, he's gonna be somewhere around what in his wire? 200. 24 volts, 2. There you go. Mig is that simple. It'll put you close, good enough to pass a weld test. Then you can ask another welder, what's a sweet setting for this? And then they'll help you. So if you're running 24 volts and you pass the weld test at 240 with that scenario, then he may say, go to 232 on your wire and it drops dimes. See what I'm saying? It'll put you close enough to pass a stupid weld test, okay? So you guys think of it like that, okay? All right, next, characteristics of a push weld. This is that simple, stupid. You should have said a push weld lays a weld down flatter. That's a good thing. So it looks sweet. Problem is it gets more spatter off to the side. So now you have more post cleaning.
I put push, flat, pull, pin.
You could have kept that simple. You just simplified it a different way, but you're right.
I didn't put spatter.
Your number
That's
nine.
okay.
Number 9's for push.
Huh?
Number 9 is for push.
Yeah, a push technique will lay a weld down flatter, and the con to it, the drawback is Nick says it throws more spatter. So now you gotta clean your weld after you're done. Now, what are the characteristics of a pull technique? It gives you more penetration, but the drawback to it is it gives you more buildup in the crown. So a welder may walk by and he may say, Jared, you're running a little cold, when it had nothing to do with Jared running cold. The welder's looking at how much the weld is building up. And Jared may say, hey man, it was a pull technique. I'm backhanding it, so it's gonna give me more crown. Does that make sense? Therefore it looks cold. Okay? Now, the next one. I asked you guys that what gas would you run when you're running spray transfer, did I not? So you should have said 90-10 or 98-2, period. No mix, I don't want to hear any of that. You got to identify the exact gas. So it's 90-10 or 98-2. So then we turn right around and I said, what shielded gases work with short circuit? Now it's this simple, you guys may have forgot. If you go in a little wrought iron company where they're wanting to pay David $10.50 an hour, they build wrought iron gates and doors and little fences at $10.50. They're gonna run straight CO2. That means if I were you guys and I walk in and I look at that MIG machine on a weld test and I see straight CO2, what do?
Walk out.
No thanks. Because if they're willing to use straight CO2, they're trying to save money and they're getting what? Cheap, okay? You could have put straight CO2 or you could have put 75, 25. That is normally the two gases that you will find companies. So Burrell walks into a fab shop, then let's do a MIG welding test using short circuit. He looks at the tank, hey, it's 75-25, just like what CNM is. They're probably gonna pay a little bit better. You see what I'm saying?
What was that answer to?
75, 25 or straight CO2, one or the other.
That's number 11, right?
Yeah, for short circuit,
Oh, that's 12.
or 12, yeah, number 12 is for, I asked you guys what gases you use for short circuit welding.
11 is R9 mix, 90-10 and 98-2.
There you go.
I thought it was 8550.
8515, Greg, is what we used to use in my day for spray transfer. That gas isn't used as much anymore, you guys. So 8515 would be my generation of MIG welding, but we're doing spray transfer. That gas has been replaced, so you guys, because 9010 is way better than 8515.
Don't they use 98 to globular?
None of the companies I've ever seen do it, but maybe, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of an overkill gas. Isn't that one of the premium gases? 9010 and 98.2 are the Cadillac gases. Why would they use that gas for globular that throws spatter everywhere?
I thought you listed it with government.
He did.
Governments, you guys? But remember, what he's talking, yeah, that was pulp spray, Nick.
Oh.
So remember, there's a difference between spray transfer and pulp spray, you guys, okay? All right, next. I hope you guys all got this right. I asked you, how do you measure your shielding gas in MIG? What are we looking for? CFH or cubic feet per hour. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys something. You missed that question, you should really go back to intro. Go all the way back to the intro to MIG and advanced MIG and come back to us in a year. Because there is no way I can get that guy where he needs to be, okay? All right, crews. What position prevents warpage? So let's say you're out there and the boss said, Cruz, I don't care how you weld this kid, but no matter what, don't warp the part. You must be welding something super what? Thin. And I even gave a demo for half of you guys on Burrell's toolbox. I showed you guys how to weld it and how to grind it if you remember, if you were there that night, right? If you showed up to the night class and Anita's class. What did I say?
Vertical down.
You always go vertical down. Jared's building a big sheet metal product for Intel. It's from me to David. It's a big part. Even though it's sheet metal, it may weigh 1,000 pounds, right? But it's sheet metal. So what you do is, when it sits there, you do this vertical down, you do this vertical down, you do this vertical down, you do all your vertical downs. And then you hook up an overhead crane, pick it up, and turn it in a different position to do the rest of your verticals. And then you pick it up again and move it and do, in other words, you don't do a position that's not what? If you ever weld sheet metal and you do it how I saw Nick doing it on Anita's toolbox, whoo, you'll get lit up out in the industry. Last semester, and it's nothing against you, Nick, because you didn't know. You didn't know. I walked by, right? You guys know me, I'm goofing around and look over, hey, Nick, how's it going? And Nick's like, oh, I'm just welding on, doing some stuff on Anita's toolbox. Remember last term she had him doing that? He was doing horizontal welding on sheet metal. Look at Anita's toolbox, man, that sucker's twisted. And he's like, why did it twist? Why did it warp out? Somebody that doesn't know any better says, oh, it's sheet metal, that's what? That's normal that it warps out. No, it's not normal. It should have no warpage because I did it down what? Downhill, period. Don't ever ask another welder, do I weld it downhill? That's a stupid question, bro.
We don't like spot.
That's how they do automotive. You can do it that way. Where you say spot, but he's still going what? Down. So you could run the little worm weld, or you could do the spot tacking, how they do in automotive, and it looks like a weld, but it's just a series of tacks. I would do that spot tacking when I got paper thin metal, like 20 gauge. Remember that toolbox you guys built was 16 gauge, 1/16. What are you guys gonna do when they give you something half that thick and say weld it? Now he knows the trick. Pulse it, pulse it, pulse it. But he's still going, yeah. See what I'm saying? So there's so much you guys gotta learn that you should have learned already, man. Now we're playing catch up. Okay, next. Ivan, what are the two positions that are known as a neutral position?
1G and 3G. I mean,
Because it doesn't have to be just a groove, does it?
no, it could be a flat or a groove. It's
That's
not-
right. Flat or vertical. And it's gotta be vertical. He just said flat.
Look at his stump.
What is it, Ivan?
Was it flat and horizontal?
No.
Yeah, vertical.
Come on, our little Russian. Too many monsters. That's his problem. Yeah, guys, it's flat and vertical up. Now, Conrad, why is it so important that Greg and all these cats know what a neutral position is? That's right. He just told you guys, in welding, you can run stringer beads or you can run a weave bead, right? So if Conrad got thicker metal, he knows he has to throw a bigger weld. If it's in a neutral position, it gives the man more options. He can throw stringer beads as a multi-bead to hit his weld size, right? Or it's a neutral position so he can weave bead it. See, that's the thing, you guys. If it's a horizontal position, what do I have to do? You have to do stringers only. So there's only one position I really promote anybody weave in, is vertical up. You guys will see when you get to me in the upper classes, I tell my guys, even though, David, you can weave bead in flat, don't do it. Because you'll get choppy what? And usually with choppy toes comes sprinkles of undercut. And undercut's party foul. So I have my guys do stringer bead everything, whether it be a single bead or a multi-bead to hit your weld size, what you learn in blueprint, or unless it's vertical. Then I can do a stringer bead and then weave over it if you choose, okay? Gotta be on point, man. Now, so that's why you need to know the difference in a neutral position and something is not. So if flat and vertical up are neutral positions, what are two that aren't neutral, Greg? 2 and 4. Horizontal welding and overhead welding, I don't care what somebody tells you, you better stringer bead it. Whether it be a single bead pass or a multi-bead, stringer beads. Carry less metal so it doesn't droop, okay? Now, I threw a humdinger at you guys here. I said, you guys are talking about setting your amperage. You may hear some journeymen out there, Jared, that say, hey, Jared, what amps you running, kid? And you're like, amps? This is MIG. All we said is volts and our wire feed speed. So what is your amperage in MIG?
Wire feed speed.
Your wire feed speed. The intro teacher probably just never taught you that. Even though you guys, you're setting your wire feed speed, that is your amperage in MIG. Okay? So when I say what's your amperage, give me a wire feed speed. 182 inches per minute. There's his amperage. See how it works? Okay, now we go to the next one. What is your wire feed speed measured in? This is another one. If you don't know this question, you should go all the way back through intro and advanced, the whole thing, because you're too far behind. What is it, Chavez?
Inch per minute.
IPMs, also known as inches per minute. IPMs. So I may walk by Burrell and I'm like, hey man, hit that at about 310 on your IPM, and I walk off. He's a greenhorn from C&M. If he goes, what is an IPM? That welder's seriously gonna look at him and be like, get off the welder. Go push a broom or get a forklift. He just demoted himself, because that's 101 MIG welding, you guys.
Pull over.
Pull over.
Pull over.
Pull over, you're pushing a broom. Okay, next, I threw a humdinger at this one. List the different types of gas used. Okay, so I'm gonna go over them in order. They can put them in any order they want, but it always goes this. We'll list the types first. Straight CO2, 75-25, 85-15, 90-10, 98-2, and a trimix. They should have every one of those.
Plus helium.
Plus helium. All day. He's right. Okay, here we go. I asked you again. List the industries of what you're doing, right? So straight CO2 is a cheap fabrication company, and you're using short circuit. 75-25 is a good fabrication company, and you're using short circuit.
No globular?
Globular, you could use globular on. You guys probably will never run globular even though it's a transfer mode. Everybody hates it, even your industry. Okay, 85-15, Greg, what do we got? That spray and say, Hackney, that was back when New Mexico was a territory. In other words, remember what I told you guys? We used 85-15 for spray transfer in the 80s and 90s. So when I was starting my career in '94 as a welder, They were just getting away from 8515, but that's what we used in spray transfer, okay? So you're in a code shop, that's right. 9010,
Spray transfer.
you're doing spray transfer, or you can do pulsed spray transfer. Either way, you're in a code shop. 98.2,
Pulse spray.
you can, it's a pulse spray gas pretty much only, okay? Pulse spray. You probably will for the government. Okay, now you guys, there was a trimix in there. That means it has CO2, it has argon, and it has a little bit of helium. They use trimixes when you MIG weld stainless steel.
I thought helium was stainless.
Helium's deep penetrated.
Helium, what Burrell said, helium is when bridges, buildings, stuff like that. So watch you guys. There's a company here in Albuquerque. It's a smaller company, my buddy owns it, right? Guy's name's Alan, I shoot bows with him. Alan owns a company called Iron Horse Welding. Now look around Albuquerque. Do you see mining going on?
No.
Last time I seen a mine around here. A lot of dirt, but no mining. Alan is a contractor for the guys down in Silver City at Chino Mine that are mining copper. Alan is also a contractor from where I'm from, up in the Four Corners. You have Navajo Mine, La Plata Mine, San Juan Mine. What do they mine up there? They mine coal. That's coal country up there. With that being said, when they need their buckets in that and their rigs, you know, a tractor blade welded, they'll take it off, put it on a semi, and send it here into Albuquerque with Alan at Iron Horse Welding. He'll hire one of you guys for 22 bucks an hour to do welding on it. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So that's in the mining industry, you guys, okay? Now that trimix, you guys, and what gas are you MIG welding it with?
Helium.
Helium. Why helium? Because it penetrates really deep. MIG is cold, but when you put helium on it, that mining equipment is so thick, it'll make even a well turned hot, it'll make it look cold. So if you put helium on it and do a MIG weld, it'll dig and act hot and lay as flat as possible, you guys. Now I MIG welded with helium, I'll tell you guys about it. You ever lit an oxyacetylene torch and just not added any oxygen? What does it get all over the place? What floats up in the air? That's what helium does. When you MIG weld with helium, you flip up your hood and you got a sweet MIG bead, but you can't see it because it's got that black soot on it. You have to wire brush it to even see it. So they use straight helium on carbon steel, just doing regular MIG. Regular short circuit. You gotta know all your gases, you guys. Welcome to our industry. I guess, is MIG really that easy? Be careful what you're putting on a resume. Okay, now you guys, I asked you guys, when we do root passes, what is the preferred technique? What would you guys say? A pull technique.
Yeah.
Why? And then I said, why?
Avoid
Prevent
whiskers.
whiskers.
That's right. It's that simple, stupid. I do a pull technique on every root I do in my career because that way I don't shoot whiskers to the backside.
Put the penetration down.
Oh, wow, I just put penetration.
Well, it does give you more pen and it does give you more buildup on the what.
Oh, yeah,
So he is kind of right. So he just didn't finish it. You guys okay on this? All right, now, here's another one, guys. I would probably go back to intro, go through advanced again if I didn't know this one. This is MIG 101, baby. I asked you, when ordering wire, you need to ask for a wire ID code. So Burrell goes up, he's out of wire. For him to ask another welder, can I get the MIG wire? He'll be like, well, what kind, dude? We're doing spray transfer over here. We use a different gas than you. Johnny over there is doing pulse spray. He's doing different. You're our short circuit man. You use a different wire. Burrell goes to the tool room. They're usually grumpy as all day and they don't know anything about welding. They fix extension cords and grinders. Hey, I need a spool of wire.
All right. What do you need?
Exactly. MIG wire.
What kind?
What kind? Do you guys see that? He doesn't know about short circuit. I'm Chris. He doesn't know about short circuit. He goes, well, dude, we've got like 15 different types of wire back there. I don't know what it's for, though. You know, and another welder is like, well, are you running pulse spray? What are you running, short circuit? Okay, you got to be able to order it. For you guys, I even told you from day one, if you have a degree in from C&M, and Conrad went and bought a little MIG welder, and he's out of MIG wire, for him to go to Masson Trigas and say, hey, I need some wire. Well, what wire do you need? I don't know. Are you really an educated man? You got a degree on the wall, but you didn't earn it. There's a big difference, right? Okay, David, order the wire.
It is 33 pound spool, 035.
Okay, he gave a size, he gave a spool size and a diameter.
Of ER 70-6.
Bam, that just happened.
Wait, 70 dash?
ER set, okay, this is the different types. Watch this, guys, okay?
I put that ER70S-2.
Okay, you're fine. You're still ordering MIG wire, okay? Now watch. You'll see an ER70S dash. That last digit can be a 2, 4, or a 6. And Burrell's like, what? He goes, I put this, Ron. I put E70S dash 2, 4, or 6. It can be any of those numbers.
I put ER.
It's all MIG wire.
Okay.
Electrode, rod, 70,000 tensile strength. S means you're running a solid wire, so you have to use a shielding gas. 2, 4, 6 is your alloy composition. Now, do you remember how I explained alloys to you guys? Okay, so Greg, give me some alloys that they add to this wire to make our welds good. This is an example.
Magnesium.
Silicone.
Okay, manganese,
Silicone.
silicon, and we'll say chromium. Let's just say that. You guys know what those are, okay? Now, this one also has manganese, silicon, and chromium.
Different concentration.
Okay, now watch this. 2 has all these, but it may only have, this may be the 2. It may have 0.5% manganese, it may have 1.2% silicon, and it may have 7% chromium. Right? That's the dash 2. Now watch this. The dash 6 has 3% manganese. The dash 6 has 9% silicon. The dash 6 has, we'll say, 13% chromium. So they both have the same alloys, it's just the dash 6 has more of it. So Nick scratches his head and he says, well, all right, what is this? They add manganese for hardness. So which one's harder? The dash 6. They add silicon for bead appearance. So it can actually make you look like a better welder. That's what makes your MIG welds real shiny. Which one has more of it? The chromium is to avoid rust or corrosion or oxidation, and the dash 6 has more of that. So what is the higher quality wire? 6. But you gotta pay. You gotta pay for that. The dash 2 has it all too, just not as much of it.
Do I have to say silicon?
Okay, in my part of the country, we say silicone.
You
Silicon,
said silicon. That's
silicon, silicon, or silicone, potato, potato. Depends on where you're from, yeah? Okay, we know what this is. And then Chris is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Somebody put this, Hackney. Guess what? You're right too. Electrode, 70,000, solid wire. So what's the difference? The R. You can't use it for fill wire with TIG. So Greg's a TIG welder, yeah? He's like, hey, Burrell, when you're done with that spool, give me that leftover 10-foot piece that's in your liner. I need some fill wire over here. Greg's gonna use it for welding paper thin metals. You guys use from your TIG teacher, probably you guys called it autogenous. They do autogenous TIG welding, but sometimes even on paper thin metal, they'll say you have to, by code, use fill wire. So then you gotta use a fill wire that's even thinner than the metal. What better wire than the MIG wire? Now these guys don't use it. It's straight for MIG, so when you're done, Chris, with the last 8 foot, throw it in the trash. That's what they do. But it's still MIG wire. Which one costs more?
6, yeah.
The ER 70S-6 is the best wire on the market. And what do we run here? That's right. Did you guys know we give you guys the best of the best? It's kind of a bad thing. I say we're spoiling Jared. Okay, I might give you a true story. This happened to your stupid teacher. You guys, when I went out in the industry, I used to be a dirty MIG welder, right? I was way good at San Juan College. I could beat the teachers. I could beat anybody around there at MIG. So then I used to love MIG. I loved it. And one day I went to the industry and they needed some welding done over at the VFW. You guys know what VFW is? Veterans Foreign Wars. It's like a little private club like the Elks Lodge and that. So I go over to the VFW and they're like, hey, we need you to weld a flagpole. And I was like, easy. Guy's like, I got a MIG welder too. So I was like, I'll MIG weld that all day. So then I start MIG welding with it. The MIG weld was no longer shiny silver. It was coming out the dullest gray color you've ever seen. I mean gray, ugly looking, through spatter everywhere. I scratched my head, I'm like, well, I don't know, I thought I had it running good. Turns out, what gas did the guy have on it?
CO2.
Straight CO2. He didn't know any better. He ran the VFW, he had a welder. That was strike one against me. Strike two, he was running what wire? The -2. He had the two lowest gases and wire that you could get. So you know what? I used to love MIG, unless you asked me to weld it with that stuff. And then I would say, no way. Don't worry about it. I'll play marbles with it later. Do you guys see? So a lot of you guys, who loves MIG? Love it when you're welding with straight CO2 and 70S-2? Tell me if you still love it. You won't like it anymore. You're like, it's ghetto. I can't make it look good. No, they don't care. They're in a cheap industry running a trailer shop. Put 2 coats of paint on it and get to the next weld and get your $10.50 an hour. That's why I would never. If they don't care about quality, then I don't want to be there. Does that make sense? I only wanted to work for who, Chavez? The best of the best. I've never had to be like these welders. These welders around here that are making $16, $17 an hour, I'm like, man, there's easier ways to make that. I get that as a manager of Home Depot or Lowe's. I get that at Costco, man. I went into the big time who was the best. They ran the best wire. They had the best benefits, best retirement. Was I the best welder there?
No.
No, because Chris will tell you, when you go to the big boy industry, you could be the big fish, and then in a big small pond, you go there and you'll see guys, you're like, holy cow. I even want to be your helper so I can learn from you. That's how I was. When I went to the big time, guys, I'll tell you guys something. You know how I ran a welding truck, right? Right out of welding school, okay? So I was real lucky, you guys. This is how. Do they normally let guys like you right out of welding school go to work doing natural gas lines?
No.
No way. That's big boy welding, right? So I was lucky. When I was at San Juan, you guys, I had won a welding competition, and the local newspaper and news media were there. It's in '94. And they did a big old write-up and put me and my stupid mug on the front page, and it wasn't for being arrested, right? So anyways, it just talked about Top Gun welder, San Juan College, blah, blah, blah. And of course, you know me, I'm all cocky. I'm like, I'm the best this college has ever seen. And the teacher's like, he's good, he's good. And then a pipeline company picked me up, you guys, right? It was called ConocoPhillips. And they're like, we'll give you a shot. And I go there and I did a weld test, and I'll never forget, this old man came to me, and he's like, yeah, you can weld a little bit. And I thought I dropped dimes. I'm like, get some of that. And he looked at it, he's like, you're all right. And I was like, you old man, you don't know what you're talking about, right? So anyways, I seen that dude weld. He tore me up. He was 10 times better than me. He's like, oh, you want it right-handed? Here, I'll do it left-handed too. Dude was so good, he took a TIG torch, walked it up one side, walked it down the other side, and never did a start and stop around the whole pipe. He goes, this is big boy welding. And I was like, yes, Yoda. What did I learn right there? I needed to keep my mouth shut, and I needed to pay what? I call that an opportunity to get better and learn. Shut up and learn from the man. But he was so impatient. You know how brilliant people are. You do one stupid thing, he's like, are you going to be stupid today, or can I teach you something? He used to talk to me like that. He would be, if I threw out a stupid answer, he'd be like, that's not, start using your what? Head. They're very impatient, and they talk to people like crap, but they can because they're so good, everybody wants to learn from them. Does that make sense? Hopefully you guys have that kind of opportunity to work under somebody like that, okay? Food for thought. Okay, now you guys, we ordered our wire. Okay, I put 2. You guys are in Qualis class. We talked about this, but you've also done butt joints. What is the answer? When 2 pieces do not align, that is known as high-low.
Or joint misalignment.
Or joint misalignment. But our industry says, hey Nick, you got high-low on those I-beams, I wouldn't tack them, and whatever you do, don't weld them. Shim one of them up with a wedge, hit a wedge under that I-beam, and bring it up till they're both flush, right? Have you guys ever welded something with high-low?
Yes.
Be careful.
It's a defect.
It's a defect. It's an automatic reject. Start looking around your community. What did I tell you guys? And I don't mean to scare you, but I know I've talked to Burrell so many times outside class. He's like, Hackney, I was over at the zoo. I was looking at welds. Those guys are terrible. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh, you ought to see this. I saw this weld over here on a motorcycle. It was terrible. I could beat that guy. You'll see it around your community all the time. And I say, you better be careful, Burrell. He's comparing himself to what you see in your community, whether it be on a motorcycle frame, a trailer frame, a handrail for some building. Those are the worst welders in our what? Industry. You have never been around the best, you guys. I told Burrell, you better be careful. He's like, I'm not even going to practice today. I'm better than those guys. If they can do it, I can do it. I said, yeah, they're doing handrails, bro. Now let's take you. I said, Burrell, have you ever been to a power plant? No. Have you ever been to a refinery? No. Have you ever been out on a pipeline job on a location somewhere? No. I've seen them from far away, but you've never been right up close. That's where the big boys weld. And you'll find they're the top 10%. So you guys, I am no different than those guys. They are young guys like you guys on point. They learned every stupid thing I'm trying to teach you. They put in 1,000 man hours of what they could versus what their life is pulling you from here, right? You guys, you will see guys that are freaking amazing. How many of you guys like TIG? I know a guy that's so freaking good at TIG, you guys, he'll ask you, what color would you like this TIG weld? He goofs around all the time. He's like, you want a blue TIG weld? You want an orange TIG weld? Do you want a straw colored TIG weld? Or do you want a pink TIG weld? And the dude could throw it. And every one would look like a machine. I was like, dude, your welds come color coded. He's like, I am one of the best. And you're like, you're a Yoda, dude. That's what I'm trying to tell you. When you get around these Yodas, you'll start learning real quick. I am outclassed. I should be your helper and shut up and learn. You know what I mean? So anyways, guys, that's that. We got high-low, it's an automatic. Now, here's a new lesson for you. Greg said it best. Ron, we've heard about porosity. Say, you haven't learned very much, have you? What are the different types of porosity? You're not allowed to say. You keep that little Russian, right? So Cruz, what is it? You had MIG, you had intro, and you had advanced. Let's see how good you and your teacher got you.
I put slag entrapment.
No.
And if you're getting slag entrapment, Woody, and MIG, you're in big what? Because it doesn't even form slag. Does that make sense? But he did that to be a smarty pants. Anybody but Jared. Jared's not allowed to be here. He's one, and him and Conrad, they're my old guys. And if you two didn't get it, I'll have a talk with you guys after class.
Can I read his paper?
Whose is it?
Jared.
It's the long hair scrawny guy? Yeah, go ahead. What did the man put?
Cluster. Scattered.
He's smart. I never said his writing was any good.
Scattered, cratered, and typing.
Jared's a big boy, you guys. So, now watch this. I had 16 guys that just took a written exam for a job at a power plant. Job pays $80,000 a year. He's the one guy that got those answers right. Do I call him? I called him. He's the only guy out of 16 of you guys. The rest of you, hey, go to Wrought Iron Kid if you don't know that. Go down to your local fab shop. Cruz, you want to weld some trailers for 12 feet? Well, then you got to know what big boys. If you want to weld like a big boy, you got to have big boy knowledge, right? Okay, here you go, guys. This is something new.
Cluster, scatter, piping, what else?
Yeah, I'm going to explain them. I'm going to show you how to identify them. I'll teach you everything about it, okay? Now watch. Ivan, what do you got, son? Don't distract everyone. What is it?
Like, for example, piping porosity will be considered a defect if it's an 1/8 inch wide and more than an 1/8 inch deep.
Okay. Ivan, you guys, knows a little bit because he's done research, he's hung around me and Trent, whatever, right? He's learned. The man wants to learn. That's a good thing. So you guys, before you start talking about discontinuity or defect, we need to identify what porosity it is. Okay, so let's start at the basics. Don't, Ivan. Ivan, I'm gonna have Chris armbar you.
I'll armbar him before you get
Well,
away.
oh yeah, you got it's about 20 to 1, you know.
20 to 1 odds.
That was I was telling him to pull over.
Yeah, and I was like, I didn't see him if he did. Okay, here we go, guys. So Jared's right, the man from Sonic, a burger maker, just took you guys to school, okay? He said, Ron, there is what's called scatter porosity. Good night, I need to learn to spell, you guys. I'm a better welder than I am a speller, okay? These are all the different types of porosity. All right, now, there's cluster porosity. There is what's called piping porosity. And there's what's called, you could call it linear or linear. Linear or linear, okay? Linear. And there's called crater porosity. Okay. Question for you guys. Why would a welder need to know this stuff? Well, it's real simple, stupid. If it happens to you, you don't have to go ask Chris, hey Chris, what is this? And he's like, you got piping porosity, little buddy, it's this. He just made me look what? You went stupid. You went to welding school, yeah? All right, so here's how it looks. I'm gonna draw a weld for you guys. Here's Hackney's weld.
This is under cluster, or no, scatter?
Yeah.
I can't talk when I'm welding.
I thought you see.
Here's you, Kim.
Here's Ivan's welding.
I'll give you that truck of toes, okay? Yeah, you gotta love my truck of toes.
Hold on, Ivan's welds come with what?
Scatter.
Okay. Ivan's actually got a really good attitude. He's a good person,
Yeah,
right?
sprinkles.
Okay, we got piping porosity. We'll say this is Jared's, our scronic guy. He's actually starting to get this good, you guys. He can drop those dimes. Ivan, you threw dimes today. Did you know that? I
No,
seen
I
it.
did not know that.
You know what? It was a stack of dimes, all right, but it looked like it was thrown out of a car at 80 miles an hour. You guys, on a serious note, you guys see how Ivan's got a good attitude. Those welders, they're gonna bust your chops a little bit. They're gonna have fun with you. If you're the greenhorn, get over it, right? Okay, then there's Lanier. We'll say this is David.
David.
This used to be David. He welds a little too fast. He needs to slow down. When he slows down, these V-shaped ripples go to what? Come on, guys. Use. And the weld will get a little bit what?
Wider.
Wider. Come on, David. Slow down, man. Right? Okay, then there's crater porosity. Who wants to be this guy?
Me.
Oh, bitch. I didn't even draw undercut. Hold on. One undercut.
I have a little bit undercut.
Okay, there's Cruz, right? I seen you will. Right? Throwing hard spatter. What does he need to do? Turn his wire feed speed up. He's probably close to getting into globular when you're throwing hard spatter. Did you guys know that? Okay, now here we go. Greg's like, are you kidding me, Ron? We thought porosity was just what? Porosity. No, Greg. Look at all the different types of porosity, and guess what, guys? They all tell a story. So for me to teach you guys this, is it going to be a waste of my time, or will you actually memorize it? All right, so I'm going to teach you theory, right?
So your linear one gets smaller?
No, Chris, don't do that. We were goofing around right here. I was just, think of these as all perfect welds, okay? Every one of them's just as good. By the way, Woody's like, if it gets skinny, you got linear porosity. No, we were kidding, right? All right, here we go. Scatter porosity. How many of you guys have ever seen this? Bing, 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 bing. Has anybody ever had that kind of porosity? What does it look like?
Little wormholes.
It's just scattered all over the place. There's just a hole every now and then. Now, you guys, let me explain this. Remember what I told you? It's telling you a
Story.
if you know it, you won't have to go ask somebody. Okay, here you go. Hey guys, causes. When I say causes, these are things that you guys should check and it will fix it. So you could put causes and corrective procedures over on the right-hand side. Causes and corrective procedures, Jonah. Write it down, son. Don't waste my what? Time. I'm here to produce welders. Noah, wake up. Jonah, wake up. Now, that way his mom thinks he's sleeping in class.
Thanks.
Don't play that for me, your mom. Okay, now, scatter porosity, you guys, the causes and how to fix it, okay? Here's the first one. You're possibly running out of gas. Okay, so Chris goes over, he looks at his flow meter, and he's like, no, it's not that. I have 700 pounds still left in this baby. So that's not a cause. Maybe he walks over and, whoa, I am out of gas. So the first thing you should check is your regulator, okay? Second, maybe your flow meter, which is your CFH, is turned too low. I expect this memorized because I'm taking my time to teach you intro stuff. Okay, now, if I got scatter porosity and I said, well, I checked the gas, it's not that. I checked my flow meter, I have it set to 20, it's not that. Teacher, what is it? And you ask Trenton, and Trent's like, silly kid. What? No, hold on. Normally, 90% of the time, if it's not these two, it would be your stick out. Too far. Period. 90% of the time, if it's not the first two, you're welding with too long of a stick out and the shielding gas can't reach it. Uh-oh, one last thing. Your guys' brother ran into a problem the other day. He came to me and he's like, Ron, I've checked my gas. He got this, scatter porosity. Check my gas, it's good. I've got my line pressure to 20.